Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Next he moves on to the 3 sthanas. What are they? Trini sthanani. Uraha, Kanta, Shiramsi iti bhavantyapi. The 3 sthanas, voice registers, are from the chest, uras, the throat and the head. The throat, Kantha, and Shira, the head. So, we have the chest voice, throat voice and the head voice. These are the 3 voice registers. He says, Shariryāmatha vīnāyām tribhya sthanebhya evacha. So, in the human body as well as veena, notes proceed from the 3 registers. Of course, in the human voice, we see the chest, throat and the head voice, and from the veena also we have the 3 places where these types of voice are produced. Then he says, Abhashanam tu durasthe shirasa samprayojayet. So, in calling one who is at a distance, notes proceed from the head register. Na ati dhurepi kantenyapi, kantenapi. So, if he is not in a great distance, then the notes can be from kantha. Then parshvataha, who is very close, then it can be urasa chapi parshvataha, through the chest voice. At the time of recitation, the sentence begun with notes from the chest should be raised to notes of the head register, and at its close it should be brought down to the notes of throat. That is what we do. Even when I spoke now, I started and I raised my voice and then came back to the closing of the voice. This is what we see, but he has given these rules and we have been following this for so many years through rote. We have learnt it from our gurus, our teachers, and we follow that. When we go back to the theory or the definition given in the theoretical shastras, we come to know that all whatever we follow are given in the books. And now it is essential for us to know about the technical shastras and also to know how these shastras have been references for the students in each and every generation. Then he talks about the 4 accents. Udattascha, anudattascha, swaritaha, kampitas tatha. Varnas chatvara eva syuhu patyayoge tapo dhanaha. Tapo dhanaha. In recitation, the 4 accents, udatta, acute, anudatta, grave, swarita, circumflex, and kampita, quivering. These 4 are to be used in recitation, where he again gives the details. He says, recitation in swarita and udatta are to be used in comedy and the erotic sentiments. Then again acute, that is udatta, and kampita is suitable for the furious, heroic and the marvelous sentiments, while anudatta and swarita and kampita are appropriate for karuna, odious, the bibhatsa and the terrible, bhayanaka rasas. That is how it is to be used, he says. So the voice has to be given that particular accent while speaking. Then he talks about the intonation, two varieties of intonation. One entailing expectation, sakanksha, and another entailing no expectation, nirakanksha. These relate to the sentence uttered, he says. Tatra hasya shringarayoho swarita udattaihi varnaihi patyam upapadyam veera raudra adbhute shu udatta kampitaihi iti karuna vatsalya bhayanakeshu udatta swarita kampitairiti. This is what I told you earlier. Then the kaku is sakanksha, nirakanksha, dvividha kakuhu. Sakanksha, nirakanksha cheti vakyasya sakanksha nirakangshatvat. So he says a sentence which has not completely expressed its intended meaning is said to be entailing an expectation, and a sentence which has completely expressed such a sense is said to be entailing no expectation. So now, what does he say about this? Entailing an expectation relates to the utterance of the sentence of which the meaning has not been completely expressed and which has the notes from throat and chest and begins with high pitch and ends in a low pitch and has not completed its varna or alankara. That is for entailing expectation, that is sakanksha. Entailing no expectation, nirakanksha variety, relates to the utterance of the sentence, the meaning of which has not been completely expressed and which has notes from the head, shira, and begins with a low pitch, mandra, and ends with a high pitch, tara, and has completed its varna and alankara, and this is to be known as nirakanksha. So this is the variety he has given as two varieties of intonation, kaku. Then he talks about 6 alankaras, the notes in recitation. Uccho, deeptascha, mandrascha, nicho, dhruta vilambitau. Patyasyaite hi alankaraha lakshanancha nibodhata. The earlier alankaras and lakshanas are different. Here the alankaras and lakshanas related to recitation of the patya is given. Earlier it was more connected with the poetry. Here it is more connected with the prose and the dialogues. What are the 6 alankaras? They are Ucha, high, Deepta, excited, Mandra, grave, Neecha, low, Dhruta, fast, and Vilambita, slow. These are the 6 varieties of recitation, the alankaras. Now he proceeds to the uses of 6 alankaras. Uchonama Shiraha Sthanagata, he says that the high note proceeds from the head register and it is of high pitch, Tara, and it is to be used in speaking to anyone at a distance. He has given this earlier. In rejoinder, confusion, in calling anyone from a distance, in terrifying anyone, in affliction, etc. Then the next one, Deepta, excited one. The excited note proceeds from the head register, again Shira, and is of extra high pitch, Tara Tara. It is to be used in reproach, quarrel, discussion, indignation, abusive speech, defiance, anger, valor, pride, sharp and harsh words, rebuke, lamentation, etc. Then is the grave note, Mandra. It proceeds from the chest register and is to be used in despondency, weakness, anxiety, impatience, low spirited, sickness, deep wound from weapons, fainting, intoxication, communicating secret words, etc. Then the low note, Neecha, proceeds from chest register but has a very low pitch, Mandra Sthai, Mandra Tarasthai. It is to be used in natural speaking, sickness, weariness due to austerities, walking at a distance, panic, falling down, fainting, etc. Then comes the fast note, Dhruta, proceeds from the throat register. It is swift, it is to be used in women's soothing children, that is the lalana. When they are singing the lullaby, refusal of lover's overture, he says manmana, the term, the sexual passion, fear, cold fever, panic agitation, distressed and secret acts, pain and the like. So this is from the throat register, that is fast Dhruta from throat register. Then the last one, Vilambita, slow, again from the throat register, is of slightly low pitch and it is to be used in love, deliberation, discrimination, anger, envy, saying something which cannot be expressed adequately, bashfulness, anxiety, threatening, surprise, censuring, prolonged sickness, squeezing, etc. And he gives shlokas, arya, in arya meter, the couplets regarding all these. The 6 varieties of Ucha, Deepta, Mandra, Neecha, Dhruta and Vilambita. Now Bharata talks about the intonation in different sentiments. He says, Yani syuhu tikshna rupani deepta cha ucha cha teshvapi evam nanashrayopetam पाठ्यम योज्यम प्रयोक्तृभिः हास्य श्रृंगार करुणेषु अष्टा काकुः विलंबिता वीर रौद्र अद्भुतेषु उच्चा दीप्ता चापि प्रशस्यते. He says slow intonation is desired in the comedy and erotic and the pathetic sentiments. In the heroic, furious and marvelous sentiments, the excited, that is the deepta, is to be used. Fast and slow, that is the dhruta and the vilambita intonations, have been prescribed in bhayanaka and bibhatsa rasa. Thus, the intonation should be made to follow the bhavas and the rasas accordingly. Then he moves on to the 6 limbs of enunciation. This is connected with the clarity of pronunciation, how it has to be pronounced. The 6 limbs are Vichcheda, separation, Arpana, presentation, Visarga, closure, Anubandha, continuity, Deepana, brilliance, Prashamana, calming, and of course these are to be used in the presentation of drama. So he says this separation or Vichcheda is due to pause, that is virama. When the pause is to be given, then there should be a Vichcheda, separation of the words or stop in between the words. Presentation, Arpana, means reciting something by filling up the auditorium with graceful of a sentence. So it is the presentation. Then continuity, Anubandha, means the absence of separation in between the words. It will be a continuous presentation, non-taking breath while uttering the vachanas. Next is Deepana, brilliance, means the gradually augmented notes which proceed from the 3 voice registers, the sthanas. Finally, calming, Prashamana, means lowering the notes of high pitch without making them discordant. Now he talks about the uses in connection with the different sentiments. In the comic and erotic sentiments, the enunciations which include presentation, separation, brilliance and calming. That is Arpana, presentation, separation, Vichcheda, brilliance and calming. Brilliance, Deepana and calming, Prashamana. In the pathetic sentiment, Karuna Rasa, it should include brilliance and calming, Deepana and Prashamana. In the heroic, furious and marvelous sentiments, it should be separation, that is Vichcheda. There should be pause in between the presentation of the vachanas. Not only Vichcheda, calming, Prashamana, brilliance, Deepana and continuance, Anubandha. In the odious and terrible sentiment, it should include closure and separation. Vicheda and Visarga. All these are to be applied through the notes of high, low and medium pitch. Mandrasthai, Ucha and Nicha. So again he says, in addressing one at a distance, the notes should be made of high pitch from the head. Shira. The person addressed being not at a great distance, it is medium pitch from the throat, and to speak by one who is nearby, it is to be the low pitch. It is to be the low pitch from the chest. But he also says one should not proceed directly from the low pitch to the high pitch or from the high to the low. And then he says the tempos should be different in the sentiments. In Hasya and Shringara, the tempo should be medium. In Karuna, it should be slow. And in Veera, Raudra, Adbhuta, Bibhatsa and Bhayanaka, it should be fast. Next he moves on to define the pause, Virama. He says this pause is based on the situation and not the meter. So he gives examples, uses of Virama in a play, words containing small number of syllables in cases of Sucha and Ankura. See, he talks about Sucha and Ankura, which we saw in the Angika Abhinaya chapters. Of course, it is again repeated in the Samanya Abhinaya chapter. Here the pause should be taken care of. See, we need to indicate something, it has to have a pause. If you completely recite it, then it has no value. So the pause is very important in Sucha and Ankura. He says, in the verbal representation, the producers should always take care about Virama, because on it depends the meaning of the whole sentence. Now he combines the Vachika with Angika. He says, keeping the eyes fixed in the direction in which the two hands move, one should make the verbal representation by observing proper pauses for indicating the meaning. That is, we use the hands. We use the hands for the pause to show here, there, etc. So the hand usage is very important, he says. In the heroic and furious sentiments, the hands are mostly occupied with the weapons. In the odious, they are bent due to contempt. In the comic, they are to pointing out something. In the pathetic, they are hung down, and in marvelous, they are to be remaining motionless. On similar other occasions too, the meaning should be made clear by means of these alankaras and viramas. So he says, pause should be observed after a word when the meaning or the breath requires it, either for the meaning or for the breath. If it is needed, virama is to be placed there. And when words and syllables are combined into big compound or quick utterance, or confusion about different meanings is liable to arise, pause should be observed at the end of the foot or as required by the breath. In the remaining cases, pause should depend on the meaning. If it is a lengthy vachanam, then the pause should be there at one place for the audience to understand the meaning of that particular line. He also adds the consonants ending in a long vowel like O, A, I, etc. are to be used in sadness, argumentation, questioning, indignation, etc. As for the rest of the syllables, they may be pronounced with pause required by the meaning. So here such a pause may be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 kalas duration. The pause being of greater duration, the syllable pronounced will always be rendered long, but its duration should not be more than 6 kalas. So finally he ends that on taking account of the practice, it should be based on the particular bhava and rasa. We have to give the pause accordingly for that particular sentence. He also adds, but while observing a pause, one should not create ungrammatical words, apashabda, or spoil the meter, and one should not pause too long except in places, some places of sorrow, etc. See, we see while singing, generally there is a tendency of stretching the word. The hrasva word is stretched in that particular raga. So he says, unless it requires a pause, it should not be stretched. So the dramatic composition should be free from literary defects, possess the best characteristics, qualities in such a recitation. One should observe proper rules to the utterance of notes and their alankaras, says Bharata. Finally, the alankaras and pause, viramas that have been prescribed in the case of Sanskritic recitation should also be observed in Prakritic recitation. And he says, thus in the representation of the 10 kinds of dramatic work, that is, we will be looking on into the varieties of drama. For that, the recitation should be very, very important based on the kala, the tala and the laya. Kala, tala and laya. Thus, he ends this chapter telling that he has given all the rules regarding intonation and we have to follow this while presenting the Sanskrit and Prakrit verses or the prose or the vachanas in a drama, in a natya of course. We finish this chapter on Kaku, modes of address and intonation. Namaste.